It's 28 degrees here in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory. I meant it, day after the first general rains. Because some people have been saying they've been seeing rains in different parts of the city. But the rains that fell last night in Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory, seem to have fallen across the city. Good morning and welcome to your daily dose of sunshine. It doesn't rain on this program. It's sun all the way. It's Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Yusuf.
Listen to your happy voice. Just bringing joy to you this lovely Friday morning. Good morning and welcome to the program. I'm Kayla Megwa, and it's finally rained. You know, Maupe, there's a name for that smell that we've been perceiving since yesterday. It's called petrichor. The petrichor since yesterday has been fantastic. I mean, it's the strangest. Usually the rains come in the middle of March, but it came the ending of February. And like I've been complaining for the past few months, it's the strangest Hamatan season ever. We never got to use any sweaters or any socks, you know, or feel cold. Everyone was just hot. And the humidity yesterday was at 50%. So there was a chance that it might rain. So the first rain, I think, if I'm correct, of the year for the nation's capital. So fantastic situation. And the days ahead will be interesting.
Well, after you've gotten the weather updates from your amateur weather forecasters on this program, I'm going to take you to Lagos now. It's unclear what the weather is like this morning because Ayo is not here to tell us. But we can tell you that it was a beautiful day when this picture was taken around the Ojota area, leading all the way to the Otedola Bridge. And for those who know that particular area, they know that this road you're looking at is a live wire. I mean, going all the way from 3rd Mainland and taking you straight to Ibadan. Yes, if you're on this road, all you have to do is keep going straight. And you will get to Ibadan. But this is what we're showing you, the road that takes you out of Lagos. Yes, and I did say it was a beautiful day when it was taken. Kela, how well do you know Lagos?
Not very well. Not very well at all. I know this road.
Yeah, okay, that's good.
I know this road.
That's a great start.
But it's lovely how the hold-ups that, you know, used to be the mainstay of Lagos traffic has actually eased up, because this is a recent video. And I remember always being so terrified whenever they say we have to go anywhere. I'm like, you know, I'm just going to stay home. I don't want to be in any hold-up, and it's hot in Lagos. In fact, the temperature this morning is about 29 degrees in Lagos. So good morning, Lagos. Ojota is where we're looking at. Can you spot where you are if you are in Ojota?
Area of Lagos. And I really must say it was a really good day when this particular picture was taken. I happened to be in Lagos yesterday, and I must say, whatever it is that they've done with the traffic situation there, please, they should keep it up till way past December. You know, it was really a breeze to be able to move through Lagos. I mean, of course, if you're moving through peak times, you know what to expect. You are the one who chose to go out when everybody's either going to work or coming back, and depending on the part of the road where you're on. But generally, I think that, you know, the traffic managers in Lagos are doing a yeoman's job. Well, Lagos is in the eye of a storm this morning for a lot of reasons. I mean, all eyes are currently on their assembly. Well, we thought that it was, you know, job over. Members of the State House of Assembly, 40 of them, had elected a new speaker, Honorable Mojisola Miranda. We thought, oh, wow, first female speaker in Lagos. Whoever thought that, you know, all of these years that there had not been a female speaker in Lagos. But we're told that yesterday, well, no, we're told that just 45 days ago was the first time the Lagos State House of Assembly elected its first female speaker. But lo and behold, yesterday something happened, something rather strange. 45 days after the former speaker, or the said former speaker, came back to the State House of Assembly, supported by policemen, as you can see in that particular picture. And he said he had come to resume. We understand that he presided over a plenary of 4 members, and he says he was never impeached. He spoke to journalists yesterday, and his supporters were outside the Lagos State House of Assembly gate. The other 36 lawmakers were not having it. They also held their own press conference. And these are the issues. We also understand that the speaker, the embattled female speaker, Ms. Mojisola, the Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda, her security aids were withdrawn. Yes, they were withdrawn by the police, who said they were conducting an audit, that they were not intervening in the crisis. Somehow, the former speaker, who is now returning somehow, showed up yesterday with policemen. They said, oh, we gave him a policeman because he had complained that his life was under threat. So it's really, really unclear. But I want you to listen to the new, yes, it's relatively new. He used to be the fourth PRO here in Abuja, but has now been made the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State. CP Jimoh Moshood was speaking to pressmen yesterday, and this is what he had to say about the situation involving the withdrawal of the Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda's security aid, and that restoring that of Mr. Obasa's aid. Please take a listen.
Periodic audit of police personnel attached to eminent personalities and group is a police statutorily laid down procedure which is not limited to Lagos State Command alone. This is to ensure that the police personnel are accounted for, including their firearms and other crime-fighting equipment in their possession. As I speak with you, the audit of the police personnel attached to Honorable Mojisola Miranda has been completed, and the former armed police personnel attached to her from the Lagos State Police Command have been returned back to her for her protection. It is pertinent to state that the ongoing police personnel audit has been on for several days now, and prominent personalities and individuals have been complying with the process. The exercise, once again, is not aimed or targeted at any individuals. There was application from Honorable Mudashiru Obasa on threat to his life and that of his family in the last few days. And it was on the basis of that that police personnel were approved to him for that purpose only. The Lagos State Police Command is not aware or in the know of how and when the office of the Speaker of Lagos State, Speaker of Lagos State House of Assembly was broken into. The Lagos State Police Command is neutral in the whole episode and will continue to do so to ensure law and order and public safety and security throughout the length and breadth of Lagos State.
Well, you just heard him there. That's the CP, Jimoh Moshood, explaining the circumstances that led to the withdrawal of the security aid of the Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda and the restoration of Honorable Obasa's security aid as well. But, Kayla, these are the issues. Neutral, that's the word that the police have used in that particular circumstance. We'll be coming back in just a moment to examine that and a host of other issues that have to do with the law when we come back from this break. Please stay with us.
Even as most knew that he will eventually show up, Mr. Obasa's presence at the Assembly complex took not a few by surprise. Fortified with the retinue of security operatives, he makes his first appearance since his removal on January 13, 2025, over alleged financial misconduct and abuse of office. He isn't alone. His support base throng the gate leading to the assembly, insisting that his mandate persists. The lawmaker representing Agege Constituency 1 is adamant. He has resumed and remains Speaker of the House.
I've never been removed. There's nothing like impeachments. So I don't know what you are saying. I've said this openly, that everybody, remove, what is it called, impeachment or whatever, or removing is all democratic and constitutional. But in doing that, to achieve that, you must follow the due process. Nobody is against. I'm not against being removed. If I do that, then I'm not democratic. But all we are saying, let us go through the normal process and achieve that. So if we do, fine.
The clerk of the House, who was removed alongside Mr. Obasa, sings from the same hymn sheet, saying the House held its plenary led by Mr. Obasa with his supporters.
I also, Mr. Speaker, resumed duty today, and we've sat. Yes, I've sat and I've adjourned Senator. In my own case, I resumed office yesterday, following the order of the court. And I just want to assure everybody that the House of Assembly, we pride ourselves as one family. There is no rancor. And sometimes within the family there might be some misunderstanding and skirmishes, but that is what it is, just misunderstanding and skirmishes.
Out of 40 lawmakers, 36 of them remained united, and the spokesperson of the Assembly, Mr. Stephen Ogundipe, representing Isolo Constituency 1, says the leadership of the All Progressives Congress must address the lingering issue at the State Assembly.
We were approached by our leaders that we should remain calm and take things easy until they approach. But we are shocked to see what is happening today. And we are still expecting them to come and tell us where we went wrong or what really went wrong. We won't take laws into our hands, just like I told the staffs that they should not take laws into their hands. But we all belong to different constituencies, and we have our mandate. And whatever has to happen, the leadership should speak with us and not this charade that we are seeing. So I'm appealing to the leadership of our party that we cannot continue this way. We are all here, you can see us. These are honorable members, few of us that are not here are here. So anything that happens, they've taken us to court. And it is for us to let the process follow its due course.
Nothing is clear at the moment, as Mojisola Miranda has not resigned, neither has she been impeached as Speaker. What is, however, visible is the obvious crack in the wall of the Assembly, a division that the Lagos State chapter of the APC, prominent party members must be running from pillar to post trying to resolve.
Well, clearly, matters of the law are involved in this particular issue. And so we have with us this morning none other than the president of the NBA, Ms. Maazi Afam Osigwe, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria, in our studios this morning to talk about not just this issue, but a host of other issues that have now popped up across different states of the country. So, for instance, in Benue, you also had the Assembly trying to remove the chief judge to the consternation of both the NBA and the NJC. You also have conversations around local government autonomy. How far, so far? So quite a number of issues. So, Mr. Osigwe, Maazi Osigwe, it's good to see you. And thank you so much for joining us on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you for having me.
This is the latest in a long line of things that have to do with the law, where there is uncertainty and it seems a lack of clarity, or people acting contrary to what people think that the law ought to be. I mean, I listened to these 36 supporters of the Right Honorable Mojisola Miranda, and they were saying, that they told their followers not to take the law into their own hands. From the perspective of law, I mean, can you make sense of what has happened in Lagos?
I pray that Lagos House of Assembly does not turn into a theater of the absurd. I mean, it's worrisome that the security agencies are complicit in this matter. There was a reported change of leadership in the House, and the person who was reported to have been ousted, I read in the news media, went to court to challenge his removal. And I also read with consternation the breaking news yesterday that he was escorted by security agencies into the House, and he had a plenary with 4 members. Now, my worry is that there's an issue of change of leadership, and there is some disquiet about that. It could be solved politically, but the security agencies must at all times remain neutral. And I shook my head when I read, I think the CP of Lagos State said that they withdrew the security around the speaker, Mojisola Miranda, for security audit. And I wondered at what type of security audit that deprives one person of security and accords it to another. And accords it to a person who the House had said, majority members of the House had reportedly removed. Rightly or wrongly, especially now that the matter is in court, it would not be for me or for the security agencies to have a say in who leads the House or who presides over the affairs of the Lagos State House of Assembly. Lagos is called Center of Excellence, and not for nothing. And it would be ridiculous and ridiculing the image of Nigeria for this Center of Excellence to be the center of attraction for what appears to be a subversion of the Constitution, a wrong use of security agencies to achieve a wrongful outcome. If the leaders of the political parties, which appears to be in majority in that House, is uncomfortable with the change, they may adopt a political approach to it. But we should not pollute the security agencies. We should not detract them from their non-partisan nature by drawing them into the politics of who presides over Lagos State House of Assembly.
So you are not buying...
It is condemnable. It is not for the man who has gone to court to challenge its removal, which he said was unlawful and unconstitutional, to procure the services of law enforcement agencies to, by force of arms, take back the leadership. And it worries me that the number of persons who sat with him shows that he leads a minority number of members of the House.
I want you to get your thoughts, Mazi. You know, people are watching this, and we're looking at it, and we're thinking about how prestigious the Lagos State House of Assembly is. One of the
all houses are.
But the Lagos,
Lagos
especially because of how old it's been and the legacy that they have kept over these years. Of course, you know, with everything that's happening, we're watching the drama, and it feels like, oh, this is happening, and we're pointing fingers. But there have to be long-standing impacts of this. There was something Atiku Abubakar said yesterday. He said this impact is a betrayal. He says a betrayal of democracy. Just so people can have an idea about the impact this can have in the long run on governance and democracy, especially at state levels.
Increasingly, we are making it look like Nigeria is a place where anything goes, where might is right, and where laws don't count for anything. In my neck of the woods, we have a saying that when the madman dances naked, it's from the dustbin. It is his relations who scratch their face in shame. The members of the House may not know the shame they are bringing upon the country and Lagos State. But we Nigerians are worried, and we scratch our head in shame because what is happening in Lagos State should not happen, ought not to happen, and should not be encouraged, and should be brought to an end immediately. If people are not comfortable with the emergence of Mojisola Miranda, appropriate steps could be taken to remove her. Until then, to my mind, rightly or wrongly, she remains the speaker, especially as the person who was removed has gone to court to challenge it. I expect that same person to await the outcome of the court to which he has submitted the matter for adjudication. But then again, I am a bit careful about how far I go into discussing this matter because it is in court. But what happened yesterday ought not to happen and does not make us look good, doesn't make us smell like roses.
Two quick issues. First, it doesn't seem like you're buying the neutrality of the police in this matter.
No, it's obvious they're not neutral. What kind of security audit that suddenly withdraws security from the person recognized as speaker who has presided for some days? What kind of security audit is that? And then the man who has been removed walked in there with security, takes over the house. How can police pretend to be neutral? They are the enablers of the state of affairs in Lagos State House of Assembly. I may not know who pulls the string, but the police are largely to blame. And if things get out of hand, the police should hide their head in shame.
There was something Mr. Obasa said yesterday. I'm so sorry about that, because I didn't want to lose that.
But I didn't listen to him.
So I'll tell you what he said. He said, I have no problem with being removed. I'm just saying if they're going to remove me, use the actual processes.
So I don't know what he meant by that. He has a problem with being removed. That's why he went to court. What he should do is to litigate his matter in court and find out what the court has to say to him. We're pulling down the house. We're pulling down her house. We're polluting everything. Nothing seems to be sacred any longer.
You made reference to what transpired yesterday. You said it ought not to happen, but it happened. So of what effect is, because I mean, we do know that the House just last week convened under very difficult circumstances. We were told initially that the DSS was there and had prevented the Speaker from gaining entrance, but after a while, you know, with pushback, with support from her followers and her colleagues, the House was able to sit and they adjourned Synodine. Then yesterday, we saw Mr. Obasa and his people also do their own sitting, and they also adjourn Synodine. So the question is, of what effect was the sitting that happened yesterday?
I don't want to talk about the effect of it, but I want to talk about the impression, the perception that one takes away from the goings-on in Lagos is that the law enforcement agencies are no longer neutral in the goings-on in the Lagos State House of Assembly, that they are taking sides, and they seem to be bent on bringing to power a person who the House has removed. And I say rightly or wrongly. And since that matter has been submitted to court, it is not for the security agencies to abuse their statutory powers and constitutional powers by aiding one side against the other, especially a side that has challenged his removal in court. It worries me.
Well, there are a number of...
It shows that we have no respect for due process of law. It shows that rule of law is anything, something we think we can shape in our own image or the way we want it. And it doesn't make us look good.
Lagos
and coming on the heels of being House of Assembly, purporting to have the power to remove the Chief Judge of a state, whether I say remove or recommend his removal, shows the House of Assembly are becoming lawless and not keeping faith with their oaths of office and respecting the Constitution. We are destroying our democratic institutions, Markwe.
In this case, I mean, some people will say the Lagos State House of Assembly and the Benue, the circumstances, you know, between the two of them seem to be very different.
They're not different.
They're not.
The similarity between them is lawlessness, acting in violation of the Constitution.
Yeah, but
doing things that they ought to know are unlawful.
The 36 lawmakers will argue with you that they are not lawless.
Which of them?
The 36 lawmakers.
In which state are you
in Lagos. That supports Miranda.
The point I'm talking about is involvement of security agents. Their complicity. I'm not talking about who is right. But if somebody has removed me and I've challenged the person's action, I should sit back and await the outcome of my lawsuit. I should not procure law enforcement agent or any person to take back power. The law frowns at self-help. Because if everybody takes the force of his arms to get that which he or she wants, law and order will break down, and the society will be worse for it.
In Benue State, the NBA, of course, released a statement on that particular issue. But we had the opportunity to speak with the leader of the House of Assembly in Benue State.
What did he tell you?
And he said that, I mean, taking a reading of the section where, you know, they derive their powers to remove a speaker, or according to a chief judge, they received the the request from the governor, and that they acted accordingly, according to the section that empowers them to act.
Tell him that he ought to bury his head in shame. Many years ago, from the days of Bukola Saraki as governor of Kwara State, this issue went all the way to the Supreme Court, similar circumstances. And the Supreme Court in no uncertain terms said that the NJC, and that's the case of Elelu Habib, an Attorney General of the Federation, and the Supreme Court said that when you read section, I think 153, 271, and 292 of the Constitution, there's no way a House of Assembly can purport to have the power to recommend or to remove a chief judge without the involvement of the NJC. And if a so-called majority leader could, in this day and time, in the light of a Supreme Court decision which has stated the law clearly, then I worry at the quality of persons who are getting elected into our various legislatures. And if he could still be arguing in the light of a letter from NJC, let's assume that those of us, we at the NBA were wrong. But the highest National Judicial Council has put out a public statement restating that there is no vacancy, that they had no such powers. And he's still arguing. Then there's something wrong with us. And then let me assume for a moment that he has such powers. You received a letter from a governor accusing a chief judge of financial impropriety, of several violations of the law, and you could not even send a letter to him for his response. You gathered yourself in a hall that didn't even look much like a House of Assembly chambers, and say you have removed him. Even at creation, Even when God knew that Adam and Eve had eaten of the fruit, he asked them not to eat. He still asked them questions. He gave them a fair hearing. Due process of law. And there's a reason why the Constitution said that the NJC must be involved. This is for checks and balances, and so the Supreme Court held. To avoid the governor removing a chief judge at whim, whenever it pleases him, if he doesn't like your face, if he maybe tries to influence you, as it is being rumored in Benue, and you refuse, then they will gather a lynch mob. And they gather in chambers of House of Assembly and say they have removed you. Even when they have made allegations that will blight your reputation. And somebody is still arguing, and I've mentioned the case. And nobody has said that even if you think the Supreme Court was wrong, it is the highest court of the land. We must worry about the impression we give foreigners and people who want to do things with us about our fidelity to our laws. Our actions portray that nothing is certain, that even when the laws have been interpreted, that they can be discarded.
I mean, that's a very scary point that you just mentioned there, right?
It's very scary.
It's a very scary idea. The idea that the fact that I've gone and sought judgment from a court and think that the judiciary has adjudicated in my favor doesn't mean that it can be overturned. And it's bringing me...
The Supreme Court is only until the Supreme Court departs from that position. Yes. As of today, that remains the law that should guide all houses of assembly in how they proceed to remove or not to remove a judicial officer.
There's a particular matter that just keeps going in my head, right, and I've been worried about what it means. And it actually takes me to Osun State. When the former governor was there were local government chairmen that were brought in. Then the governor left, and then a new governor came in. They removed a judgment removed the local government chairmen that were there with the former governor. And then these ones appealed and brought in new ones. These ones appealed it, and then these ones said, no, we're not leaving. Then they said, don't do the local government elections. They went and did the elections, even though the other ones, based on a court judgment, still have till October to be in office. Could you break down this Osun situation?
I don't want to comment on
what does it mean?
I don't want to comment on Osun situation. I've read quite so many conflicting views about it, and I've not read any of the judgments. Some judgments say the Court of Appeal ordered. Some persons say the Court of Appeal ordered. Some say the Court of Appeal did not make such order. I've not read them. And it would be unfair to you and to the listening public for me to come on air and start commenting on something I have not read. But there's something to be said about that, though. It is the fact that people are going to the extent of killing people, destroying properties, all over fight for control of the local governments in our various states. And it makes me wonder whether they do this for altruistic reasons, whether they do this because they care about the people at the local, at the lowest level of governance. And if you ask me, I tell you it's all about money. It's all about who controls local government funds. And that is at the heart of the fight for local government financial autonomy and administrative autonomy. Because increasingly the governors are showing that the local government allocation has become a slush fund for governors. And that may explain why the Supreme Court, in apparent clear overlook of the constitutional provision that requires that there be a joint accounts for local government, directed that the money be paid directly to the local government, because the governors are not allowing democracy to thrive at the local government level. How come is it that a governor that manages to scrape to victory in an election, when it comes to local government election, he achieves 100% victory for his political party? And the State Independent Electoral Commission are not making anything easier. They are acting like they wake up and go to bed in the governor's living house. People are deprived of democracy. Go and look at the amount of money that has been allocated to local government since 1999, and look at the absence of development in most parts of the country. And it should make you wonder, and also give you an insight as to why the governors are ready to dwell to the death for control of local government. There's no democracy there in the emergence of candidates at the party primaries. There is indeed no primaries. The governors handpick them. And despite various Supreme Court decisions, a governor wakes up and says he has suspended local government, dissolved them. Look at Edo State. And despite legal advice, they will refuse. And the Supreme Court has said, you do not have power to dissolve. And they keep dissolving. And they kill in a bid to retain control of it.
There's no consequence for them dissolving.
Because in Nigeria, there's no consequence for bad behavior. There isn't. When you leave power, it's as if nothing ever happened. You walk away. And the Houses of Assembly, too, a worse appendage of the governors. They can't even back, talk less of biting.
Since we're talking about elections, a few things that have happened in the past 2 days. Yaga Africa.
Yeah, just before we go to elections, Kayla, let's quickly stay a little more on the local government local government scenario, because I know that the MBA had a conversation on that particular matter. You had a conference. What were some of the outcomes that came out of that? What were some of the recommendations you had?
That the decision of the Supreme Court should be implemented, that the governors should allow the local governments to breathe. The local governments should stand on their feet. The governors should allow the local governments to bring development to their people. Democracy. Section 7 says that a democratic system of local government shall be guaranteed under this constitution.
There's an appeal that the NBA is making. It's an appeal.
You see, it's unfortunate that when the Supreme Court has given a judgment, we're appealing. We're not appealing. We are saying you should. And that's why the Attorney General said that such actions could amount to treason. Because I'm an overthrow of government at a level of, at the third tier. And I find it absurd when governors argue that the local government is not a federating unit. We're not talking about federating unit. We're talking about a tier of government which has been guaranteed by the Constitution and accorded the right to exist and be democratic. And we're simply saying, respect the Constitution. You derive your power to be governor at the state level from the Constitution. That Constitution has guaranteed that the federal government cannot come and take away your allocation or prevent you from governing in your state. I mean, and if you would not tolerate that from federal government, just a moment, do not do that to the local government, because the golden rule is do unto others what you would not want others to do to you.
I don't want to. I want us to go back to that Attorney General statement that you made, Mark.
But I don't want to. I mean, that's Attorney General too. I want to look at that. What they're doing amounts to some form of coup at local government level, and I agree. When you subvert democracy at the local government, you're carrying out a coup on the Constitution. You're not allowing the Constitution to work.
And that's treasonable.
That's treasonable, isn't it?
That's the point he's making.
So
do you don't have to overthrow it at the federal level. You have truncated democracy at the local government level. You wake up and by executive fiat, you remove seemingly democratically elected governments. You tamper with their funds. You do as you please. That was not why the local government system was protected in the Constitution.
Yeah, but recently he was speaking as the Attorney General now. I think it was in Kebbi State where the National Human Rights Commission opened up a new office. And he said something to the effect that there was going to be administrative autonomy also granted local governments as well, in addition to financial autonomy. What does that mean?
Because the Constitution has given power to the state houses of assembly to make laws with respect to structure, administration, and finance of local government. I didn't read the speech, but that would also mean ensuring that they're able to run without interference from the states. So sometimes the states make laws that allow them to have some kind of administrative control. So they employ the staff for local governments, they post teachers to local government, do so many things, which if you really look at it, it's arguable whether they can do that. But if by state law, they have crafted a way of doing that, maybe the Attorney General is suggesting that there is need to further insulate the local government so that the governors will not have reason to interfere with the administration. Probably also, what may explain this is that states are now passing laws mandating local governments to remit a percentage of the allocation to the state and using as justification the fact that the teachers are employed from a central pool and that primary health care workers are employed by a central pool and posted from a central pool to local government. And going by this, it will be difficult for their salaries to be paid if the local governments are to pay them, because the local governments are not the employers. I would like to believe that's what the Attorney General meant, allowing the local governments to employ staff for these schools, discipline them, pay them, and post them as they will, and employ teachers in line with their needs. Not having maybe people at the state level post staff for you. And oftentimes, a number of people posted are relations or wives or spouses of big politicians who are not posted out of the urban areas. And so you see the urban areas having a bloated workforce, while some areas in the hinterlands, in the remote areas, don't even have teachers for their schools. And I agree with him. They should be allowed to run themselves in a manner that brings democracy to their people and ensures that enough teachers are employed for the schools. Local governments, in every sense, enjoy autonomy of being a tier of government and function properly and apply their revenue for the good of the people.
You've mentioned something, which stands out in almost all the situations that we have highlighted: consequences. Consequences for bad behavior. It does appear that in many instances, the courts intervene, the courts are ignored. Sometimes they intervene, they get a other people get a counter judgment or get an injunction. And some people say, oh, these people are also enabled by lawyers. They are advised by, members of the legal profession. From your own, from where you stand, do you think that there are consequences that the NBA can exert, to make sure that when the courts give a judgment on a particular issue, it is not lawyers who are encouraging, actors to now, carry out a contrary behavior or a contrary execution, so to speak? I don't know whether you have thought about this.
Well, I mean, you can't be in my position and not have thought about it. No doubt lawyers have a role to play. A number of lawyers have contributed to the ugly state of affairs. You see lawyers, for example, going to federal high courts, especially with respect to matters that the federal high court does not have jurisdiction. And a number of the problems we've had are judgments emanating from these kind of situations. And then either the parties involved do not report them. We're not God, we can't be everywhere. If matters are reported to the appropriate body, then the disciplinary process will be activated. The NBA is part of the regulatory architecture of the legal profession, but we are not in charge of the disciplinary architecture. So there's a body called the Body of Benchers, and has a committee known as Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee. It is a body that actually entertains petitions against lawyers and takes decisions, but first there have to be a complaint. It is the complaints you treat. You don't go around running around the country looking for complaints. But in appropriate situations, when our attention is drawn to situations we feel merit the bar as a body lodging a complaint, we will. And it is our wish that our members are not found wanting in this and are not found fomenting strife or encouraging this thing by doing just about everything, even when they know that those are not things they should do.
Are there people from the legal profession that have been tried or at least punished by the NBA for these frivolous judgments?
There are law reports. They are reported in law reports. But maybe not as much as we would want it to be. But many.
But in prominent cases like this, like the ones that we have highlighted in Benue State, for instance, some people have said, oh, look, if they, I think it was Mr. Falano who said it, that if there are lawyers within the Benue State House of Assembly who were there when that's let's say the resolution was passed by the House trying to remove the chief judge, that they should be penalized.
Now, that would be an ideal. Unfortunately, the state of our laws is still a bit backward in this regard. The state of our laws is that for you to be punished for professional misconduct, you must be acting in a professional respect. And it's arguable whether a person, a trained lawyer, who has been elected as a member of House of Assembly, who is participating in a political process, can be held liable for misconduct in a professional respect. Because as a member of the House, he was not acting as a lawyer, even though he happens to be a lawyer. And there's an amendment being proposed to the Legal Practitioners Act, and I believe it to address it such that as long as you're a lawyer, if you have taken part in an action or you are guilty of an action that amounts to infamous conduct or brings the profession to disrepute, you should be penalized. But I'm afraid that the current state of the law would not appear to favor such an opinion.
What is the current state of the law in this regard?
That for me to be punished, if, for example, I go to Wuse Market and get involved in a fight, I'm a lawyer, everybody, oh, lawyer fights in Wuse Market. I cannot be taken to Legal Practitioner Disciplinary Committee because I was not acting in a professional respect. I was just there as a mere shopper, somebody who went to buy things from a market. But in the Western world, it doesn't matter. And I'll quickly give you an example. The case of Fiona Onosoya, who used to be a member of parliament in the United Kingdom, who had an issue with driving, I think something about driving violation, and she claimed it was her brother. And when she fell out with her brother, the brother said, oh, I was actually not the person driving, it was my sister. And she was convicted. And the Law Society took action against her because even though as a driver, she was not acting in her capacity as a lawyer, said her conduct brought the profession to disrepute. And they punished her for that. In Nigeria, you cannot do that.
So for me, it's not so much as a conduct. In some other instances, it's a place where you know, or where it does appear that the law is being violated. The law is being broken. And lawyers are there. Because in this instance, the NBA has complained. You have spoken out very strongly condemning what has happened in Benue State. And not just yourself, the NJC. So you will think that lawyers should know better. So under those kind of circumstances, doesn't the NBA have a responsibility?
So I still say this. Have you not wondered why, even if a person is caught stealing or committing a crime, is still taken to court and is asked guilty or not guilty? The facts and circumstances have to exist for a certain process to be initiated. And I said, in my view, and I may be wrong, if you're a member of a house who happens to be a lawyer, I have my doubt whether you could be punished for professional misconduct for what you did on the floor of the house as a politician or political representative of your people. But I'm saying that is not a state of law. We should encourage, we should amend our laws such that if you're a lawyer and your conduct has brought the profession to disrepute, you should be penalized. I talk about the state of law now. As unpleasant as it is, my thinking is that the law at the moment leaves us with very little option.
Are you going to, I want it to work. We need to sanitize our judicial process.
Yes, you were just about to talk about elections.
Yes, but the judicial process really took over my mind. All right, so let's go back. I want to talk about elections. And really, I was looking at local government elections when it's stuck into my mind. And it brought to my mind the fact that civil society, Yaga Africa to be precise, one of the things that we talked about when it comes to local government elections, since this Supreme Court judgment, according to them, none of the local government elections have been up to par. None of them can stand next to any of the ideals of what we demand as free, fair, and credible elections in this country at local level since that Supreme Court judgment. And then yesterday, we started hearing about the voter register. And they're saying that it's possible that this voter register needs to be checked again because there are some discrepancies inside this register, so we can actually know the number of Nigerians who come out to vote during elections. I want to get your thoughts on our electoral processes and some of these issues that are coming up, especially local government elections and this question about our voter register in this country.
I agree with Yaga Africa. I've had cause to look at printed copies, polling units of records of the voters register. So you'll be very certain that those may not be persons that maybe they have scanned pictures or something, or some repetition or some funny thing. There's need for that process to have credibility. And maybe NIN could help us do this. But that's for the INEC to tackle. When you talk about since the Supreme Court judgment, the elections have been below par, you appear to suggest that before then it was. It had never been. It has largely been a manipulated process. And I said that earlier, where governors, by hook or crook, achieve a near 100% victory most of the time. And where the doubts of the election took place, crazy results are announced. Outlandish figures never seen are announced for local government elections. Until the governors allow local government, democracy to thrive at the local government, until we respect our laws, these complaints will always be with us. And that's why you see many states, the parties that are not in power wisely stay away from it because they know it's a charade. Results are political cases raced through the courts. And I always make the point that any society that uplifts quick dispensation of political decisions and neglects issues of human rights, commercial transactions, criminal justice, that is a society that can be taken seriously. Because it seems the politicians will amend the law to ensure their continued hold on power, while neglecting the things that make a society tick, that make a society attractive to others, either for purposes of tourism, investment, or any other thing. And we seem to only prioritize political cases. And people are not taking us seriously. And so the common man goes away feeling that I've been here for 10 years. And yet this man, his case has gone up to the Supreme Court. He has spent 4 years, he's back again. His case has also finished another round of 4 years. And yet my matter is yet to get off the ground. And that is why there's that negative perception that if you're a big man, you can have your way. But if you're a poor man, God have mercy on you.
Well, Mazi Afam Osigwe, I do hope that the next time we speak with you, things will be over a happy matter. It will be that things are improving in many respects.
I can't wait.
We have to thank you very much for coming on Sunrise Daily. Mazi Afam Osigwe is a senior advocate of Nigeria and also the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Thank you once more.
Thank you for inviting me.
We see your feedback. Festus Akimbo Ewa, you say it's sad that most of our state houses of assembly are notoriously lawless, as seen in the Lagos State House of Assembly yesterday. There's no doubt that the speakers of LSHA serve at the pleasure of majority of the members in the House and can be replaced at any time. The leadership of the APC must handle this issue honestly and impartially to avoid chaos in Lagos State. Violence in Lagos will not benefit anyone. And on that note, we have to say thank you also to Professor Enakina. Thank you so much for being a part of our program this morning. I'm Maokwe Ogri Yusuf.
I'm Kayla Megwa. Have a great weekend ahead.
And happy Friday.
All right.